ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, be you Clydeside, Stateside, or worldwide, it's time to rise up. I know it might be hard to do so, considering what we've just seen at the weekend, but I'm going to start with some good news before we really get into the nitty gritty, and that is that when we say international, we really do mean international, because it might be the same time, but we're not all in the same place for once, because your boy Des is coming to us live from Portugal. So how's the sun treating you, my man?
Well, I only got here today, so I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning. Had to set my alarm for 3 o'clock this morning to get to the airport for a 7:10 flight, and I'm kind of running on fumes at the moment. So it's going to be a good night's sleep. I'm actually in the Algarve, so a wee place called Albufeira, which is absolutely beautiful. It's my happy place. It's where I go to. I've worked hard this year, and to get a break, I come here. But and to be honest, after watching that on Sunday, the as far away as I can get from Atlanta and the Atlanta Falcons, I've picked the right spot. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but we obviously with Portugal having red in the flag, you seen the red and you're like, but it's red and green. We'll allow it. But no, for what I've seen online, the Albufeira, it looks like a stunning part of the world.
Yeah, still got the jerseys. I've got the Bijan Robinson one, my Julio Jones one. I've got 2 hats, and I've got because it's December, it's still warm, but it's not as warm. So I've got one of my Atlanta Falcons hoodies as well. So nobody's going to miss. What I would say is that when you're walking down the beach and everything, because I've been here a few times, and they look at the hat, because I always wear my hat when I'm walking the beach, and you kind of, they're kind of looking as if to say, I don't know that one. You don't see many football jerseys over in Portugal. Obviously NFL, you'll see plenty of as in soccer jerseys over here. It's a big soccer country, but yeah, I still wouldn't miss a show, even though I'm worldwide, so I'm not Clydeside. So you're Clydeside. Most of the viewers are Stateside, and I'm worldwide. You know what I mean? So,
but as I say, if you ever wanted to decline or try to deny the commitment to the cause that we have, 27-24 on Sunday, and we're still here on Thursday, ready to give you all the facts, even when we are spread out across the world. That's how much we love this show, and love you all down in the chat. And as I say, before we even got started again, one of our frequent flyers, Floyd's in the house, so it's great to see you as always, brother. One of our Euro birds by blood as well. We continue to rise up. As I say, there's still positives to be had, which we'll get into in just a little bit. But as I say, without you guys down in the chat, there's no point in us doing this, Des. So you see the same guys every single show. It's what inspires me to get up and really get my head into the books again, because I'm like, no, the guys want the facts, so I need to look that stat up again, or I'll throw my hand up. Your boy's getting senile in his advanced years now. So once I said to my missus, like they say, it's downhill at 30. For me, 30 wasn't too bad. 32 stung. I'm not gonna lie, but no, as I say, like it's you guys that really keep us going, and I'm sure Des can attest to that as well.
I mean, fair play on any viewers coming on and viewing and watching the podcast, because the last thing I really want to do is talk about this Atlanta Falcons team at the moment. I mean, it is all over the place. I mean, it gets to a point where you're not. I mean, you're getting some of the games. The defense was really good. But on Sunday, it was like everybody let the team down. Every part of the team let the fans down as well. And
speaking of the fans, Des, shout out to Miss Sonia, who's another one that never misses a show. She, like a lot of the fans, and we were saying in the back as well, let's keep it 100 as we always do. this is a 9-3 football team that's coming into the A on Sunday. So, and according to the experts, as we would call them, a loss to Seattle and the season is officially done. For me, the season ended probably well in advance of the New York game. It probably ended when we lost to Miami. It's been a downhill sort of skid since then in a lot of ways for me, Des. So I don't feel definitive enough to say, oh, this was the moment where I feel like our season's cooked. But I feel like I think you've heard me say on the show before, I feel like it's just death by 1,000 cuts. A lot of little things.
And to be honest, well, I was thinking about this today. When you look at the Aints are having a terrible year, right? But everybody in their granny could see that it was going to be a bad year for the Aints. So it's not came as a surprise. They've not got a franchise quarterback there. They've got a lot of injuries. They've got an aging team. And you then look at the Atlanta Falcons. Everybody tipped the Atlanta Falcons to push the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win the NFC South. And effectively, I've seen a lot of people that would say that even if the Atlanta Falcons didn't beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the number one spot in the NFC South, they were still going to make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And here we are. We're effectively 3-8, 4-8?
4-8 now, yeah.
4-8, yeah. We go in on Sunday against a 2-9 team. Effectively, what you can consider one of the worst teams in the NFL, and they beat us. So what does that say about? And when I say team, I'm not talking about the players. The players, we've got exceptionally fantastic players. We've got potential Hall of Fame players in our team. I think Drake London could push for it. Bijan Robinson could push for it. We're hoping that eventually Michael Penix Jr. will get to the point where he gets talked about in that vein. So there's a lot of exceptional players. And whatever's happening behind the scenes, it's not a happy camp.
No, and I feel like it's as you say, Des. There's a reason, and I feel like it's coming from, as I say, Floyd's backing me up, saying that it was a good point that it's went downhill from Miami, and this is what I mean. Take the Miami game, take the first game against the Panthers, and take the Jets game. We'll take those 3 games. I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets now start a little bit of a run to end out their season. It happened in Miami, and they ended up beating Buffalo, who was a team that we were scared to play, but we handled. I know we also did the same at Washington to Minnesota. Their seasons have kind of fallen off a little bit, same as Buffalo's has, but these are still very, very good teams. But we didn't then capitalize on that momentum. Miami did. You've seen what the Panthers have done. But as I say, it's just not been good enough, Des, because we came in talking about playing and the games being decisive against Tampa for the top of the division, and instead the games are important against New Orleans to see who's on the bottom. So it's not where you want to be.
But what you're watching, Will, is the bad teams are improving. They're getting better. We as a team are getting worse. The best example is you look at New England Patriots. Now, they beat the Buffalo Bills and then went on a 10-game winning streak. You know what I mean? They get impetus from beating the Buffalo Bills. We beat the Buffalo Bills, and then it's skids. We literally just hit the rocks, and I keep on saying, what is this coaching staff saying to these players behind the scenes? That's what I want to see, because I want to find out, because you see Raheem Morris, and again we'll get and speak about it later, but you see effectively Ike Hilliard getting let go after the 3rd game. You know what I mean? Because of effectively results and what was getting seen there. Then Raheem Morris gets asked about Marcus Williams, the specials team coordinator, whether they're looking at changing that, and he said no. You know what I mean? It's not all about it's not all about results. It's about what goes on in practice.
I feel like it's 100% about results, and the results speak to me as we've said multiple times, Des, and I know you've always backed me up on this point. Is what is the use of holding on to players specifically for the use that they will give you on special teams when the special teams are not underperforming? That is not something that you would look to cut. You will instead part ways with a receiver, which at that time the receivers weren't massively underperforming. I know Darnell it was just at the start of his sort of injury struggles and things like that, but we still had Ray who was playing okay. I mean, yeah, maybe the scheme needed shaking up, but I felt like it was always deeper than Nike Hilliard. I feel like he was a fall guy. And I feel like the fall guy strategy that's been the way in Atlanta wasn't the way, because we've seen what happened with, I was going to say Jeff Lake, with Jimmy Lake as well. So yeah, and Floyd saying again, even the first game against the Bucks, we really should have won that. And he likes Troy Anderson, but yeah, nothing from that guy. No, there's a lot of names that should be performing at a higher expectation, but Des, I'll let you take this one as well, because Floyd makes a good point here. We're hearing nothing from this coaching staff about the extent of injuries sometimes, what the injury actually is, the prognosis as to how long we're going to be waiting for a return and things like that. Is there something at fault here with the coaching staff? Do you think it's just an NFL-wide thing that they don't have to divulge that to us? Or do you think that the coaching staff's deliberately being maybe evasive with some of this information?
Well, see, from my point of view, why keep that information? Because the offensive coordinators and the head coaches of the other team have already got the blueprint of how they stop this Atlanta Falcons team, and it's stop Bijan Robinson, stop the run. Raheem Morris specifically came out and said that. Didn't hide it. Everything's going through Bijan. So why hide injuries? You know, it just makes no sense. You see the press conference with Raheem Morris talking about how he'll take bullets for the players. Well, let the players. That tells me there's no accountability. You know what I mean? Do you think Mike Vrabel's going to stand up and take grief for one of his players? No, he's going to call him out and say it's not good enough. That is the issue.
But this is the problem. And shout out to the chat again, to Miss Maggie, because this is a point that the Ladybirds have made on the show as well. It's the buddy attitude. Your job title is head coach, and I feel like Raheem Morris has bastardized his definition of the term head coach. I feel like he wants to be everyone's best friend. He wants to almost bring opposition on side by essentially saying, here's what we're going to run and here's what we're going to do. But at the same time, he's losing the fans by the thousands, and I'm sure a lot of the people in the chat can agree. I'm not backwards about coming forwards in this. He's losing the Atlanta faithful with not being forthright, especially with the Darnell Mooney issue. When we figured out that it was actually a lot more severe, I was deeply concerned in what else was maybe being hidden. We know the coaches are outright lying at times as well. We've spoken about that in relation to Zach Robinson and the play action thing with Kirk Cousins. That's been called out in the past, but I feel like I almost don't understand at this point. I understand to a degree that these coaches are inept to succeed at this level because of their inability to adjust. But I feel like almost more than that, they need to be telling us more than what they're saying. You can't, in one hand, be forthright with the league and say, this is our offense, and not at the same time say, we are limited at the same time by X, Y, and Z. There's no benefit to be had in being so and shirking around the point.
Yeah,
because it's only came back to hurt us as well, Des?
Well, there's no leadership, there's no accountability. Again, I'll go back to my sales career. Right, I had a manager that was phenomenal. He was a great manager, and there was times where he would let you away with things because you were getting results. But it got to a point that because you knew it's just human nature. Human nature is naturally lazy. You know what I mean? And it got to a point where if you think you can get away with it, you'll do it. You'll let it go. You'll let it slide. And then I had managers who I didn't like, who were really, really tough on you, but you got the best results because you knew that you couldn't cut corners. And that's what I'm seeing with Raheem Morris. Raheem Morris is everybody's best pal. He's the buddy, right? But it needs to be in a position where the players need to know that there's a snap there. The players need to know that they're not that Raheem Morris isn't their pals, and that if they're not doing it right, they'll be cut in a second. Now,
and this is a great question too. I'll absolutely love this one from Sonia. She says, "Why didn't Raheem fire Zach Robinson and the special teams coach, but he feels comfortable firing the wide receiver coach after week 3?" And this is something that I was. It goes back to what I was just saying. I feel like Ike Hilliard was the odd man out. Because I feel like, as I say, when Raheem Morris came across, he brought Zach Robinson with him from the Rams. So he's already part of the whole buddy system that he's putting in place. And this is why I said, if you're going to keep Terry Fontenot, I would say, look, Terry, Jeff Ulbricht's going to stay here because he's proven his credentials. Same with Nate Ollie. I'm going to keep that defensive staff together because we've proven at this point that's self-evident. Apart from that, I want you to go out and find your guys because I feel like the problem is that these are Raheem's guys and he doesn't, like as I say, he wants to be everyone's friend. And I feel you agree with that, Des, too?
Well, the sign of a good leader is that he accepts challenges. He can take a challenge. Somebody in his camp, he allows anybody around him to challenge him at any times. If they don't think that what they're seeing is correct, a great leader will allow that challenge to happen. And Raheem, effectively, from what we kind of can see, Ike Hilliard has obviously challenged the offense scheme and questioned why Zach Robinson is calling this kind of offense scheme. And Raheem obviously didn't like it and wants yes men in his camp that won't challenge him. Because there's obviously an insecurity there with Raheem Morris after his first job with Tampa Bay when he get let go after 3 years. And again, that's what I'm saying. The sign of a good leader. Mike Vrabel will allow his coordinators to challenge him. And if he thinks he's in the wrong, he won't back down, but he'll change it and he'll have the discussion. Raheem Morris has effectively said that in that camp, if you question anything that I do, then it's Ray McLeod for you, and it's Ike Hilliard. Now, we don't know what's happened, and Ray McLeod's come out and said a few things, kind of intimated a few things, but it's weak leadership. And that goes to the top as well, because Arthur Blank is watching this happen. You know what I mean? If you look at the actual coaches that we interviewed when we were looking at Raheem Morris, they're all winning coaches. You know what I mean? We're seeing one on Sunday.
That's what I said in the group chat as well, Des, on Facebook. The content creators and they have a group chat, and I stated this. I said I kind of sent an X post that had all the records, and I said, we do not have any ground to stand on to get any of these guys back now, and for another talk. I feel like the only one we could possibly swing, given the fact that Miami's not there yet, would be Mike McDaniel. But I feel like in a lot of these cases, the ship sailed. We had that chance. And it's especially galling when you're sitting at 4-8. I hate to be once again that team, and it's something that I've made an abundant point over the last 35 episodes. I'm sure you're sick of hearing me say it, but it brings us back to this level of mediocrity. I'm sick of being the team that always has an excuse, or it's always next year, or there's always just one little thing that we need to change. I feel like if it takes a top-down change, if it takes Josh Blank taking over from his dad to affect that, then I wouldn't be against it, because I feel like at this point, 60 years, no ring, no accountability from the top down, no here's where I went with that sort of rationale, none of it, no communication. I'm over it at this point, Des, and as you say, it was hard to get on tonight. We do it because we love you guys down in the chat, and it is a Labour 11. We do still love these Falcons, as abusive as our relationship as it may be. But yeah, how do you feel, Des? I mean, I know you must be sick of it too.
I'll keep on saying it's disgraceful. It's damn disgraceful that this coaching staff with this roster is 4-8. It's disgraceful. I could probably, you look on your probably maybe 8 to 10 teams that have got a better roster than the Atlanta Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a coaching staff. And again, you see on Twitter and X that effectively the feelings coming out of the blank camp is that Raheem's going to continue to the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go back to last year when Jimmy Lake, I mean, we could see after 2-3 games that Jimmy Lake just wasn't a defensive coordinator for the NFL.
Yeah.
And he lasted to the end of the season. Now, I understand all this continuity and all that stuff, but at some point you just need to, same way Arthur Smith, at some point you need to say it's not working and make changes. And from my point of view, I think it's getting to a point that Arthur Blank, because he's getting to that age now, he's, I think, 82, 83, because he's so desperate for this Lombardi trophy that he craves, that he's effectively making rash decisions, hoping that that's going to make the difference. And again, the most galling thing is that we had 3 coaches that we interviewed. Mike Vrabel, as soon as I seen Mike Vrabel getting interviewed, I remember tweeting it out, don't let him out the building. Do not let him out the building. That's the kind of guy that we needed in Atlanta Falcons, a guy that was a proven winner as a player. And effectively the Titans were a mediocre franchise, and he was getting them. They were a playoff team under Mike Vrabel. He had a lot of injuries at the end, and then they decided ridiculously to get rid of him. So what I would say is that anything I say about the Atlanta Falcons, there's a lot of players that I'm not putting this on, because they're getting out and they're putting their bodies on the line. I completely understand that. But this coaching staff is woefully inadequate. The only one that effectively can take an inch of praise is Jeff Ulbrich, and on what he's done with the defense. And that's only because the defense has been so bad in the last few years. But watching, I mean, it's getting to a point that it's just the narrative of the Atlanta Falcons are that it's a good team with bad results. And yet, again, we're the ones that get caught up on it at the start of the season, when we're getting our back up, when we're getting upset, when we hear people saying 7-10 season again, and we're going, is this, what game are you?
And what world? Yeah.
Are you looking at this team we've got? But they've got obviously a crystal ball, and they can see what we couldn't see with the red and black blinkers on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But and I mean, one thing to your point as well, Des, just shout out to Maggie as well. Wherever you're watching, shout out to the guys over on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. We won't judge you either way, and neither will we ask you your opinions on Elon Musk, because that's a whole different show. But yeah, if you're watching on there, if you're watching us on YouTube, share it out, let the people know. The Scottish Falcons are going to be here all year. As I say, win, lose or tie, we're Falcons till we die. So But yeah, when you're talking about coaching, as I say, you're still working with very finite windows. And I mean, some of the guys that we were talking about are no longer an option. Steve Sarkisian coming is not an option. He's said that he's out and out, flat out, going to stay at Texas. Lane Kiffin, no longer an option. He's now your head coach over at the LSU Tigers. So as I say, if you wanted to get some of these guys, that would have been a couple of weeks ago. And this is what galls me. To bring it back to, as you say, having guys like Mike Vrabel and Mike McDaniel in the building and Jim Harbaugh, and I could continue. Having guys of this caliber in the building and letting them walk, it really comes back to bite you when you see how short these windows can be, the quality coaches, and yet you're settling for coaches who have no leadership skills, no ability to adjust on the fly against some of these better teams, which we ourselves claim to be, and on paper we should be. We should be competing with these top 8, top 10 teams, but we're not able to do so because, as I say, it's a chess match, and we're bringing a checker strategy, and that really has been exposed. I mean, the lack of a plan B.
What I would say, Will, is that if you're a coordinator just now and you're looking at head coach positions, Atlanta Falcons is appealing. It really is appealing because they've got such a strong roster. Yeah, you've got your issues with the quarterback and problems with that and how that's going to go. But the actual roster itself is, I mean, it's top 10. It's a top 10 roster.
Yeah, shout out to the chat because they're saying Raheem and Robinson have both got to go, and shout out to Night Whisper rather 5247. Before Mad Mike goes on a rampage. He probably will. Mad Mike will have plenty to say about this, I'm sure. And if you've been watching his stuff, we always try to keep an eye on what the boys are doing, and yeah, he's not too happy either. And this is what I'm going to say, because at the end of the day, going into 2026, I've proposed to Des that we start the Scottish Falcons swear jar, because we've just put the parental advisory tag just as standard now on the shows because we never quite know how colourful it's going to get. But we know we don't have to explain that to you guys in the chat. You guys are suffering it all here beside us. And Sonia's saying that all the coaches we've brought in for interviews are all winning, but we hired an idiot. Exactly. Looking at that Sean McVay coaching tree, we got the dying branch. Looking at it, he's, but as I say, 33 and 56 now. Is it as a head coach?
Yeah,
should speak for itself. I mean, he's had plenty of time. That's not a one season record. When you're playing 17 games a season, he's had tenure to prove himself, to make that adjustment, and he hasn't done so. So yeah, the guys in the chat can see it, and we'll back you guys up as well. I feel like a lot of the diehard fans who know what they're looking for have known since week 5, week 6 that this had to change.
I mean, listen, I'll say again, 4-8, it's disgraceful. I mean, we're literally. I mean, if we lose on Sunday and the New York Jets win, then we've got the same record as the New York Jets, and they beat us. I mean, and when you actually look at the game, we dominated the Jets. Mm-hmm. We dominated them, and you literally look at we're creating history with the statistics that we're putting up for a loss. They're literally coming out and saying it's the first time in 35 years that a quarterback has done this and a running back's done this, and it's been a loss. Or the difference in the yardage, the passing yardage, and the full amount of yards that we went between Atlanta and New York Jets. We're creating history by losing the way we lose.
Yeah. Literally, you would feel like it was scripted. It feels like one of these guys that do like the Madden experiments. Like they go on and they go, today, folks, I'm going to see how many things I can do well and still lose the game. But as I say, but then it's real life at the same time. So it's truly concerning. But At the same time, I feel like it all comes down to the coaching inadequacies. Special teams has taken a good quarter of that 53-man roster, and for what?
I mean, Well,
outside of the on you go, Des.
on the watch party, I pointed out that what do you call him? Tyler Algier was in at special teams, and Raheem mentioned that as well in these press conference. And effectively, it's getting to a point that we're having to put in starting caliber players and potentially put them at risk of injury. As what happened with Troy Anderson. Troy Anderson got injured on a special teams play. And we're then putting Tyler Algier, effectively one of our most important players in this offense, on special teams because we won't challenge the coach. We won't sack the coach. And effectively, Raheem isn't looking at the fact that it's not working. It's been horrendous. Jamal Agnew, so Jamal Agnew muffs the punt and they get it with 4 or 5 yards to go and score a touchdown. Now, I said in the watch party that if that was Mike Vrabel, that player wouldn't see the field again.
Yep.
What did he do the next punt? Jamal Agnew's in again. It's as if Raheem Morris is saying, do you know what? If we leave him roasting, it's just going to kill his confidence. Let's get him in. Let's get the cobwebs off. Let's get him back to what he did best. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
It's two things. It's the, as you say, the level of inadequacy, the level of what he's reached his level to where it goes no further, because that's a strategy you would maybe do with a college returner. Just go, he's a young kid, he's going to make mistakes, he's a freshman, sophomore, be it as it may. That's something you do to get someone prepared for the league. That's not something you do to adjust a professional player who, let's be honest, it's Jamal Agnew. We know his name. He's been around a few teams. It's not his first season in the league, and that's a very fundamental mistake. So, yeah, again, it boils down to this. Oh, I want it to be everyone's friend. Atlanta's going to come, when we get that Super Bowl, it's going to be a kumbaya moment. No, it's already going to be a kumbaya moment because we've been waiting 60 fucking years. But you don't all have to be holding hands when we get there. This is what Des and I are trying to say. We need, pardon my phrasing here, but we need some balls in the coaching. That's it.
We need accountability. We need accountability, mate. I don't care. I would rather have Nick Nash out there and Kobe Bryant and see players that they might not be at the point where they're good enough for the NFL, but they might be. But they'll try. You know, effectively, Jamal Agnew is a veteran, and again, it's all about the coaching. What is he thinking when that ball's coming down to him? I mean, if I'm looking at that and I'm not a professional player, I'm looking at that and going, do you know what? I'm going to step aside, let that bounce into the end zone, and then we're back to the 35. You know what I mean? He looks at that and thinks, you know what? I'm going to grab it and try and get it for 5 yards. I've already said if Jamal Agnew effectively takes a knee every kickoff or every punt, we would be in positive yardage. The Marquise Williams shouldn't be there. It's woeful, and you then look at what's going to happen in this season. I guarantee you we'll get another couple of wins, some rah wins, and then the decision will be made to keep Raheem for another year, just like what we've done with Arthur Smith.
I would hate to see that, and I mean that's something that opens up something that I was going to leave until a little later on, but we can always turn it positive to close because let's just peel the band-aid off now, Des. I mean, in terms of what we want, what we hope to see, and what we expect to see, that's two very different questions because I mean, there's still for all intents and purposes, there's still hope that we can spark some sort of life into the rest of the season. Maybe not compete for the playoffs, but at least give us some sort of hope. And that's probably the last thing I want to see, because I want Raheem out. I want Zach Robinson out, because if we come back with this offense next year, then it's going to be an entirely different question, because you're sold. You're like, we've made the point before that we're wasting the primes of guys like Bijan, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, AJ Terrell. I mean, Chris Lindstrom's 28 now. It's not especially old, but I mean, we got this guy out at 22.
Yeah, Jake Matthews is what, 33 now?
Yeah, so I mean, and again, we come into what we were talking about earlier, but it's very finite windows of time to capitalize. I mean, Bijan is a special, like, just singling him out for one. There are many, but Bijan is a singularly talented running back, especially when you're talking about how quick he is from sideline to sideline, more so than vertical speed. But he is a special talent, and I hate to say this, because 2 weeks ago I was saying it was ludicrous, but I can see why people are saying trade him to Pittsburgh, because then he at least can do something with a coaching staff that would maybe use him a little bit better. So as much as I'm not in any way speaking that into the ether, I can see teams going like that. No, do you know what? See, if you don't know how to use them, send them over here.
But Raul, there was times where we were watching games and I was saying that we're effectively a bad team with an exceptional runner back.
Yeah.
So if Bijan Robinson goes, it's lost for the next 2, 3, 4 years. You know what I mean? We know that Arthur Blank, Terry Fontenot don't like the word rebuild. What I would say as well is the biggest concern for me is Drake London and still not having a contract agreed. Because if you're Drake London's agent and you're looking at this team and what's going on around it, you think to yourself, the only way my client is staying in the Atlanta Falcons is if we rob them. Absolutely rob them. And that's what's going to have to happen. Terry Fontenot is going to have to give him a top 3 wide receiver contract, which I think he deserves. But effectively, if I'm Drake London, I'm looking and I'm saying, well, see if I'm staying here in this, I want cash. I want big bucks to stay in all this. Because and again, it's unfair for the Bijan Robinsons and for the Drake Londons to effectively watch a specials team player destroy the game. You know what I mean? And
I mean, to back you up there, Night Whisper's saying it as well. The only balls that Raheem has is his eyes, and he's not been using those either. And I would say that he's been spending far too much time looking at the scoreboard, but I feel like he's looking through it because he's clearly not seeing the score. And I feel like it's evident, Des, and you can feel it too, that the emotion or the vibe in the locker room is soured towards Raheem Morris as far as the players are concerned. The one good way to get them back on side would be to, for me, lock down one of the leaders. And I mean, as you say, if you really want to get into rankings, I mean, you've got Jefferson, Chase, CD Lamb. After that, you really start getting into guys like T. Higgins, Amon-Ra St. Brown. But then when you're in that category, Drake's right in that mix. Yeah. With those sort of guys, your Higginses, St. Browns, your Jalen Waddles, they're all guys that, like, if you want to have an offense that performs to a high level, especially from a passing standpoint, you need to pay that guy. But 100%.
I would say Drake London is the best contested catch wide receiver in the NFL. There's nobody touches him. Nobody touches him. And that's, but as I said, the biggest concern is that effectively we brought in Bijan, we brought in Kyle, we brought in Drake. You know what I mean? We boosted the offense, and the rookie contracts are now gone. So we're at a point now where we're going to have to either pay these guys or let them go. My point of view, if I'm a new head coach, I'm letting Kyle Pitts walk. He's not getting a top five tight end contract for me. And there will be a coach somewhere who can see what he can do. Like the Caden Ellis, when we brought Caden Ellis, he was getting underused at the Aints. We brought him in, and he's a phenom. He's been phenomenal for us. Somebody will look at Kyle Pitts and think, you know what, we'll just pay up just a wee bit more. We'll take the chance that we can bring out what we've seen at Florida and what we've seen in the first year, and he'll be gone. Tyler Algier as well.
What I feel like, Des, when it comes to Kyle Pitts is, if you didn't draft him to be a tight end, there is a restructure on the basis of that. Because if we're going to pay Drake as a 1, I would be interested as to how tight end 1 money stacks up versus wide receiver 2 money. Because if you want to just be a 6'6", 245-pound wide receiver, that's cool. And if it will save us a couple of million and you want to look at maybe restructuring going into the second part of your contract, maybe that's some way we could keep Kyle Pitts. But I feel like other teams have already possibly looked at that option as well. But as Sonia says, we've got 5 games left. It's time to experiment a little bit.
Yeah, I would say that if Arthur Smith's still at Pittsburgh next season, I think he'll have a shot at getting Kyle Pitts over there. He loves his tight ends. So, but again, although he was drafted as a tight end, he was really brought in as a wide receiver. But again, we've just botched that so badly as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree with Floyd. We've done so much wrong, but this team, the way that it's played out through this season, taking the scalps that we've had, and not to put too fine a point on it, shitting the bed against teams we should have stomped. I think we're going to win 2 games, and I don't think it's the 2 games that you think. I think we beat Arizona, and I think we maybe beat Tampa on the road.
I think we'll get a couple of rah wins, and enough for Mr. Blank to say, do you know what, we'll keep Raheem for another season. That's just the Atlanta way. It's just the Atlanta way. And then the coach I want, which is Clint Kubiak, you know, I mean, he's effectively going to go somewhere else and light up the NFL. I mean, if you want to look at somebody who's similar to Kyle Shanahan in his history with his father and all that, that he is the man. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of coach that we should be looking at. What I would say is that you look at Chicago Bears, the turnaround in Chicago Bears with Ben Johnson. You know what I mean? That's a kind of it. I'll say again, Raheem Morris, when you look at all the potential, the coordinators last year that were looking at head coaching positions, Raheem Morris wasn't even in the top 10. And we bring him in. I went off on one on X when we hired him, because I said that we were going back again. I went off on one as well at the start of this season when we hired Jeff Ulbrich, and he's been a pleasant surprise. But all the fear that I had with Raheem Morris has came to pass. But we need to effectively go out there and say who is the best, whether it's a coordinator or whether it's somebody maybe like Brian Flores, somebody that's had a head coaching job before and has had issues, injuries, whatever. We just need to get the best leader out of all of them and bring them in and just say, it's your truck, it's your car, you drive it, you go where you want, we will step aside and we will let you do whatever you want, and let them get on with it, because we're getting to a point now that the 2016 season and the 2017 season are effectively a long past time. and we're getting to a point now that we are at the point where we're looking as being in the same brackets as the New York Jets, the New York Giants, and the bad teams. We are one of the bad teams, and it's depressing. It really is, man.
Truly. Well, as I say, there was a few reasons why I said to Des tonight. We'll try and keep it short and sweet. Well, maybe not sweet, but at least civil. Because for one, I know Des did mention he had the patio doors open, so we can't give it too much volume tonight. But no, it's not good enough. As Night Whisper says and down in the chat as well, I think we need real coaches that know how to use the players. And that's something that
and he's mentioned somebody I've mentioned before.
John Gruden.
Yeah, I've mentioned him a few times. Get John Gruden in and just say, listen, you were effectively threw on the in the dumpster. Everybody's written you off. You know, I mean, the guy's football mind is phenomenal.
Yeah,
I mean, his history. Somebody who wants to come into the NFL and literally show them that he's not past his best. What I would say with John Gruden is he would go out there and he would get the best coordinators, because he would make sure that he's maybe not been in the league for a few years, but I guarantee he'd make sure that his coordinators were young coordinators, and he's proven. He's a proven head coach that likes to bring forward his young coordinators, and they move on to bigger and better things. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, listen, John Gruden can't do any worse than what Raheem Morris is doing.
No, I would 100% agree with that, and I feel like his mind for the game is very expansive and very sharp. I've seen him in open conversations on the blackboard with guys like Jared Goff, with Justin Herbert, guys who have NFL pro tenure at this point, and they've even come out here and said this guy boggles your brain. He's depth and knowledge of the game. It's just baffling, and that's the kind of guys you need, because the amount of John Gruden's forgotten more plan Bs than Zach Robinson or Raheem Morris could ever hope to learn. So that is a great shout. He's one of the options that not a lot of people, as you say, are looking at. A lot of people are just like, nah, he's cooked. But no, I feel like he's got a lot to give.
See, when you've got a head coach who literally can look at every situation and look back to when he was in that situation before, and he's the one thing about John Gruden is that John Gruden has made mistakes and came back from them. Mm-hmm. Raheem Morris makes mistakes and doesn't learn from his mistakes, and he just doesn't recover. John Gruden has been in so many on the field so many times in 20, 30 years that there's nothing that surprises him anymore on a football field. So it would be better. It would just be better than Raheem Morris. And when you've got a coach who effectively, you've got players who are sitting there just listening with astonishment at what this guy knows. Straight away, that's respect. Mm-hmm. It's not about being a pal to them. It's about, I'm your head coach. I'm not your pal, but I'm going to tell you and I'm going to learn you stuff that you'll never ever need to know. But I'm going to make sure that you know it just in case it ever happens. That's John Gruden for you. Raheem Morris is at a point where you see that. I mean, you see the teams coming out in the first half, and he's got this ridiculous plan where he wants to take the ball first. Mm-hmm. He wins the toss. He receives the ball, which is ridiculous. You get the ball after the second half. You get to learn what team you're up against in the first half, and then you plan accordingly at halftime, so that you know that when you've got that kickoff, you know how to plan against that because you've seen it for a half. You know what I mean? He doesn't want to do that. Raheem Morris thinks he's smarter than everybody else, and he's got better plans than everybody else. But what Raheem doesn't understand is that the plan, because he's the only guy that's got that plan, it's not because it's a phenomenal plan, it's because it's not a good plan. Nobody's using it because it's bad. So what I would say to Raheem is, if you're thinking of doing something, don't do the opposite, because there's probably a good chance that it's going to be more successful than what you're doing just now.
Yeah, as you say, there's not much new these days in the NFL that hasn't been done before. But if it's not being done anymore, there's probably a reason for that. And he sucks at timeouts and challenges. And time's been a big thing. His clock management's been woeful. Even his down management's been terrible. Like running the same play on second and third, or third and fourth down when you know you have half a yard to go. Not flipping the play.
Even these challenges have been bad. You know what I mean? He comes out in a press conference with a challenge that literally he's looking at the scoreboard and he's watching it and the replay, and you can see that it's the guy wasn't over the line, and he then says a challenge that because there was a chance he could have just got there, but I thought it was worth challenging. No, it's not worth challenging. You're losing a timeout because that timeout is potentially 30 or 40 seconds that the offense is losing at the end of the game. I'm sorry, but I'm over this coaching staff.
Yeah,
this guy could win the next every game at the end of the season, and I'd tell you it's pot luck. It's pure luck that this guy's winning it. It's down to the players, not the coaching staff, that we win games. And nothing this season has shown me any different. I'm over this coaching staff.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. We will forever love this team, but we'll give it to you. We'll give it to you raw. We'll tell it how it is, and that is one thing that needs to change for me to continue to be invested in any kind of level of success for this team. But the team itself, as I say, to get it back on side, we do have a few special mentions to the positive just before we do wind things out for the night. But we don't always like to be doom and gloom here, as much as it has been a disappointing season. So first off, there's been 6 Falcons players, namely Bradley Pinion, who's at number 3, Bijan Robinson at number 4, Xavier Watts at number 5, Drake London and Brandon Dorlus at number 7, and Caden Ellis at number 9. That's within their positional top 10s in terms of Pro Bowl voting. And I'm extremely happy with that. Des, we'll get your thoughts too, but especially with guys like Caden Ellis, Brandon Dorlus to be within the top 10, because those are guys that we were hoping would emerge. Obviously, we knew we would see guys like Robinson, London. Watts is a great name too, because it speaks again as to the quality of this draft class. But congratulations to all the guys, and let's hear your thoughts on that group then.
I'm going to be a bit controversial here, mate, because the way I look at it is the Pro Bowl voting is it's a popularity contest. That's all it is. It's effectively how many times can you press that button to vote for your guys, until they decide that they want to do it like the Hall of Fame and effectively have maybe general managers, head coaches, coordinators, everybody in the NFL effectively voting on who they think should be in the Pro Bowl. I'm over it at this point, because the way I look at it, mate, is if we get 6 Pro Bowlers in the Pro Bowl game, that is going to be a shocker for me, because after Sunday, Bradley Pinion is off my Pro Bowl. That's for sure. With the punt. What I would say is that there's been seasons where we've had no players in the Pro Bowl, and there's been 1 or 2 players in our team that deserves it.
Yeah.
And again, when I say popularity contest, it tends to be the teams that are winning most are the teams that get the players in there, understandably.
Yeah.
But you've got a losing team in the Atlanta Falcons, but players like Caden Ellis, players like James Pierce Jr., you know what I mean? number one rookie sack, along with Jalen Walker.
Yep.
5 sacks each.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Abdul Carter, 1.5 sacks.
Yep.
Billy Bowman Jr., 1.5 sacks, the same as Abdul Carter. So effectively, there's, as you say, mate, not just about the Pro Bowl voting. There's so many great things that has happened this year. The pass rush, we're probably going to have a historic high sack rate this year.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. The defense, it's improved so much. The draft class this year, phenomenal. We're not going to be the guys that are always doom and gloom. But what as Will says, if we see somebody in this organization that is taking this team down, we're going to call it out. We have accountability, and we'll always challenge it. But there is so many positives in this season that you look at it and you think, if we just get the right coaching staff in place, the future could be really, really bright. And but that's the worst thing about all this. That's the worst thing about this situation is we've got the players to win, to get to the playoffs, to challenge, and it's the coaching staff that's destroying it. But Pro Bowl, Bijan should be in there. I mean, he's putting up record yards. Yep. Drake London should be in there. I mean, his yardage is up there with the best, and he's missed games. You know what I mean? There's loads of players. Caden Ellis should be up there.
Yeah.
James Pierce Jr. You know what I mean?
I agree with you in so many regards. Like, as I say, it's another thing that we've said far too much on the shows this season, but we have far too many great players in far too many places to be 4-8. And the reasons why are self-explanatory. And shout out to Night Whisper. It's the first time I can think that we've seen you on the show tonight, and we're glad that you're loving it. So we're here every Thursday, every Saturday at this time. If you want to get involved on the panel as well, that's something you can always do. So you can always hit your boys up through the social media as well, because that's something that we're going to talk about as well after we cover the Man of the Year situation, is that we would like to set you guys expectations for the coming season, because me and Des do have a lot of work to do to kind of reset things for the new year. But before we do any of that, just a special mention as well to Falcons cornerback AJ Terrell, who has been named the Falcons team finalist for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. And then it just goes to show you that he's a leader, not just on the field and on this defense, but also out in the community with his charitable services as well. So huge congratulations from both Des and I to all the guys. As I say, depending on how you feel about the Pro Bowl, it is what it is. But as I say, it's been a long road to get to here. So to still have positives is a blessing. And it's something that, as I say, the guys are all young, so it's something that we can continue to build on in the next few years as well, Des, hopefully.
I mean, I remember living through so many seasons where, I mean, 2021, you looked at the team and you thought, I mean, who would you put in the Pro Bowl? There was nobody. It was an average team. We had average results. We had an average coach. It was effectively all 1-year contract players. So when you look at again, the positives is when you look at this roster, when you dig deep into this roster, there's going to be players we're going to lose, but when you dig deep into this roster, there's so many players that deserve Pro Bowl, but the problem is it's going to go to the popular players. It's going to go in the wrong direction. It's going to go to the guys that everybody knows, the Caleb Williams and the Drake Mays and all the ones that are getting the hype with the media, and the players the great players that are on bad teams are getting overlooked. So that's what I say about the Pro Bowl voting. If it went to a panel or it went to maybe like 30 the main coordinators, head coaches, general managers, all that kind of thing, I'm happy with that. Even the players, do it. I mean, do it the way that I think they do with the top 100 players. I think that's all voted for by the players. So effectively, do it with the players voting. So they tell you who they think, because they're on the team. They come up against the if you're in an offense, you're coming up against a defensive back, and you think, God, that guy's a monster. You're going to vote for him. So until it stops becoming a popularity contest, the Atlanta Falcons players are never going to get on it. It's going to be the odd one that everybody watches and the media's carrying forward, like the Bijan Robinsons and all that. But do they all deserve it? Absolutely. That they've been phenomenal on this on this team. But will they make it? Probably not.
No, probably not. And as I say, there's a couple of guys you can blame. I just flashed up two of them there by mistake, but I'm just sorting out a couple of things here. There's another two there with Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson. So as I say, the reasons why we're 4-8 are apparent, but it is not this team. But at least in terms of the players on the field. And Sonia's picked up that little flash up there as well. Rich McKay has destroyed this organisation and team for 20 years. And I feel like that's another one who has not shown the accountability that he has to have been shown. I'm not part of the football operations. Okay, so why are you in Germany? Why are you in every single executive meeting? Why are you the first to enter and why are you the last to leave? Because we can see that you are the last voice in Arthur Blank's ear, and they're telling us something different.
He was in London. He was at the fan event. So the pub where all the Atlanta Falcons fans were. He was there. Mm-hmm. So he was in London a couple of years ago. So again, if I'm Arthur Blank, just clear the lot of them. Literally say to your son, listen, I'm obviously, whatever I do, I'm not making the right decisions. You take over. You know what I mean? Maybe you'll bring us a Lombardi. Because one thing I would say is that whatever you say, and again, you can go back to the previous owners, but Arthur Blank's an unlucky owner, and Raheem Morris is just an unlucky. What I would say is, right, just give him his due. If we sat down with Raheem Morris and actually chatted with him, we would be overawed by the amount of knowledge that he's got. Listen, I understand that. The guy's been in the NFL. He would put the average fan, he would even put the professional fans and the people that have been in the NFL, he could put a lot of them to shame with his knowledge. Completely understand that. But when it comes time to use that knowledge and make the right decisions, he falls on his arse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Completely agree.
And that's a problem. So, yeah, he's got a lot of knowledge and it would put us all to shame with his knowledge. But he's an unlucky head coach. He's an unlucky leader. As he said a few years ago, the team don't lose, the leader does, and we're losing. So he's a losing leader. If that was a battlefield, he wouldn't have a second chance. Always soldiers would be slaughtered. You know what I mean?
Do you know what they say? As heavy as the head that wears the crown. It's the first point where they want to rest the blame when something does go wrong, just as it should be rightfully the case. And we have shouted out the coaches that have taken their teams to new heights this season. It should be the first point at where you lay the praise as well. But as I say, we've not seen much. At least in terms of a head coaching standpoint, to really heap much praise onto, and that's something that hopefully we can look to address in the off season, and that brings me on to sort of what's coming from the Scottish Falcons shows moving on into 2026 and beyond. So, as we said earlier on in the show, we do still have the frequent Flyers program in place. So if you do want to earn your kilt, then that's something you can do. As I say, we'll let you know where to get at as social media wise at the end, or as I say, if you do want to guest and you're just in the chat right now, just let us know. Drop the red and blacks if you want to keep the episodes coming, because as I say, there's new shows coming, and through the AFN pipeline as well. But you're also going to see a hell of a lot more of your boys going forward, not just Falcons content. We're also going to be touching on some college ball, some more NFL stuff around the league. As I say, coaching carousel to come. We're going to start doing some positional breakdowns for guys that we're looking at in the draft, specifically for the Falcons, or maybe some more guys just as a sort of check this out sort of segment as well. So there's going to be plenty to look forward to coming forward as well. So just to let you know that the season may be done, but as I say, the grind's just beginning, so you haven't seen nearly the last of Des and I. But before we, as I say, get into the Q&A and start thanking the guys down in the chat for all their contributions, because as I say, the shows couldn't be what they are without you guys. But Des, absolutely, as I say, thank you for joining me this season. This has been in excess of 70 hours, maybe pushing 80 hours of content now that you've got from Des and I. And I don't know how at some point you guys aren't sick of us, but I'm beaten, but I'm not broken yet. So there's plenty more to come. And Des, thanks for being part of it all with me.
Well, what I would say is that if we were going to pick a team that's got a lot to talk about, we picked the right team. That's for sure.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, because the upside down world of the Atlanta Falcons, or as I say, the roller coaster world of the Atlanta Falcons. So, listen, what I would say is, I never, ever wish for a loss. I can't go into. I love this team too much to go into a game hoping for a loss. I just expect that the NFL and the games will take care of themselves. But when the Sunday comes, I'll be screaming for a win, and I'll hope that we beat the Seattle Seahawks. But I don't see it, and at some point, we need to put this man out of his misery, Raheem Morris. And probably the biggest downside for it all is that I think probably Jeff Ulbrich will be one and done in Atlanta if Raheem goes. So, but we need.
Like you're right. We appreciate the kind words, Night Whisper. Thank you for spending the last hour with us, as we say. But yeah, we're going to start kind of winding things down a little bit now.
So that I can get on my holly bags.
Yeah, absolutely. Let the man earn his break. But this is what y'all do. It is we try to have nice things. We try to put our feet up, and no, even from Portugal, you can't escape us. The Scottish Falcons will always keep the hits coming. And as I say, if you enjoyed this one, then you'll see us on Saturday, breaking down all things ahead of the Seattle game before those Seahawks hit the bends. So you'll get to see that on Saturday. Plus, from what I hear back at AFN HQ, I feel like the PTSD may have gotten too much for Coach, because I think he's sworn off the watch parties now, at least for the rest of the season.
Well, see, to be honest, we done the Miami game and it was woeful, and we done the Jets game. So
yeah, it can't get any worse for us. So it can only get better. So after those two, there may be a chance. I'll say a chance because, as I say, we've taken a few bruises and a few unchoiced losses this season already. So there's no guarantee, but you may well catch the AFNI family on Sunday as well for the game. But before we do close out for the night, as I say, we always like to leave it with you guys as well. So here's a little tradition as well, and that's the Q&A section. So ask away or have your say. If you've got anything last minute to run by Des, now would be the time to do it. But we'll keep it open another few minutes, just if anyone's got anything they want to say. And then, as I say, we'll tell you where you can get at us in the future. Because, as I say, some nice takes from the chat, as always. The frequent flyers, as always, giving us a lot to kind of chop up, especially coaching wise and things like that, because we make it evident as well, as we make no qualms about the fact that we've been disappointed this year. But that's what we love about Atlanta too, is that y'all are honest fans. You're not these bandwagon like you see in certain cities, and I'm not going to name any specifically because I'm not that type of guy. I don't need that kind of heat right now, because right now I need to focus on my own team. We've got enough problems inside without turning it outward, Des, and I'm sure you feel the same, but something needs to give. Don't you agree? Something big.
Yeah. I mean, it's as I said with Arthur Smith, it wasn't working with him. It's not working with this coaching staff. I mean, Zach Robinson he's as I said before, he's the rotten part of the Sean McVay tree. You look at Raheem Morris again. Raheem Morris, the worst thing about Raheem Morris was he watched Jimmy Lake last year be defensive coordinator, and it was only the last 2 or 3 games where he took over play calling. But you could see from early on that it just wasn't working. He's too loyal. Arthur Blank's too loyal. I don't want to be, and I don't want Atlanta Falcons to be a cutthroat franchise.
Mm-hmm.
But there comes a point where everybody and your granny can effectively see what's happening and what's going wrong, and we need to just at some point just make the decision to move on, and do like the one thing I would say is that you look at a lot of the franchises, and you look at a lot of the head coaches who you look at Sean Haytham, as I call him. I mean, he's 4-2 with Wilson and benches him because he doesn't like what he's seen. You know what I mean? Whatever you say about that man, that's a head. He is a good head coach because he doesn't care what feathers he rustles or any toes he stands on. If he thinks you're not doing what's best for him and what's best for his team, you're out. He's no loyalty at all. And that's what I say about Raheem Morris. Raheem Morris is only loyal to one place, and that's Atlanta Falcons. Not the team, not the players. The Atlanta Falcons and that full team. So it should be effectively, if you're not doing it as a coordinator, as a player, you're out. And,
I agree.
And again, you then seen Sunday, Jamal Agnew fluffs the punt, costs us 7 points, and he's straight back in again. If that's me, I'm sitting him on his arse, and I'm then saying, when this game's over, I want you in my office, and I need a chat with you. And Marquise Williams, get your arse in the office as well. That's not acceptable. And call them out. Don't all this. I'll take bullets for my players. Well,
evidently not.
What if your players are costing you games?
Yeah, there comes a level where the words are just coach speak and they're just white noise. And there's a reason. There's many reasons why the NFL stands for not for long, but one of them is that is the appropriate attitude that you need to take as a head coach in this league. It's a business first, and it's a business that's ultimately driven on wins and losses. So if you're not getting the job done, then that is gonna be basically the be all and end all to your season. As I say, there's a difference between a bad team and on paper we're not, but we're a bad organisation. So at this point, I'm not sold on the team, but the organisational or disorganisation in Atlanta has to change before I'm ready to consider anything, you know.
And again, mention what Floyd said about Rich McKay is a big reason we suck. Now, who's to know whether Mike Vrabel wanted to come to Atlanta? There might be a lot of Ben Johnson. I know he was mental with taking Chicago Bears, but there's probably been a couple of the coaches that would love to come to Atlanta. Maybe Rich McKay is the reason why they're not coming, because they kind of know. They know in the NFL echelons, all these things that happen in an organisation gets out, whether it's the players' agents or whatever. So they'll be talking about what's happening in Atlanta. And some of these head coaches or some of these offensive coordinators or some of these defensive coordinators will know, because they'll hear it from players that they know that will talk to their agents and talk to them on the quiet. So who's to say that Rich McKay isn't one of the reasons why some of these coaches are not taking the jobs? Maybe it's known in the NFL corridors that Terry Fontenot isn't in control, that it's Arthur Blank and Rich McKay that's in control. So if you're a head coach, if you're a coordinator and you're looking at a head coaching job, and you think, well, who's in control? Is it Blank? Is it Rich McKay? Is it Terry Fontenot? Who's working with me here? You know what I mean? I'm having a meeting with Terry Fontenot, and then I'm going to have a meeting with Rich McKay and Arthur Blank. So it's and that'll put people off. So when Floyd's saying that, he's got a good point, because there'll be a lot of decent head coach candidates. So we'll look at Atlanta and go, yeah, they've got a fantastic roster, they've got phenomenal players, but how is the organization work? What is the workings of this? Who's in control? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. And we've been mediocre for so long that you do need to start asking these questions, regardless of your level of fandom. And as I say, I've never been one, and neither of you, to downplay his level of contribution, both to the team and to the city of Atlanta as a whole. But a lot of the guys are, we don't know. We know what it's like to take the bruises as well, Miss Christie. So, yeah, we're beaten but not broken quite yet. But yeah, that's why we're talking about like top-down level changes, because the level of inadequacy, I feel like we've almost got used to now and just almost accepted to a point. And we're far too good, as Des says, in terms of roster and the players that we have. I feel like we need to establish almost one leader, because I feel like this leadership by committee sort of idea isn't the way for everyone, as you say. And if it's driving away the chance to bring in coaches that are going to drive that progression forward and drive us closer to that Lombardi, then yeah, as a realistic fan and as a fan who wants the best for my team, I have to look at, maybe it is time for Arthur Blank to step down, to get rid of Rich McKay and things of that nature.
But again, you look at Robert Kraft. Robert Kraft put up with one of the toughest head coaches in any organization, and Bill Belichick, right? Bill Belichick literally had the run of that organization, and Robert Kraft allowed that to happen because he was getting the wins. You then look at him take on Mike Vrabel as well. Now, Mike Vrabel's not going to. Mike Vrabel walks into that organization. He's in control. He's in control. There's no doubt in that. He is in control, because he's not in that organization if he's not in control. And then you look at Arthur Blank and Rich McKay. At what point are they saying, nah, we won't go with him because he's going to be he's tough to deal with? You know what I mean? Just get the best man for the job. Again, it's the level that the Atlanta Falcons have dropped to this year is, I mean, it shocks me. And this time, if they do get rid of Raheem Morris, this time they need to make it right. It needs to be the right candidate. We cannot go another 3 years of this. It's unacceptable for this fan base to watch this level of football.
I couldn't agree more. It's something that needs to change. It's just, we need to reestablish who we actually want to be, because right now we're pretty much a laughingstock around most of the league, because we had especially such high expectations coming into the season. But yeah, I don't feel like, as you say, we can be realistic and say it's not going to get any better on Sunday. But as I say, we know how this team goes, so don't be surprised if we come out and ball out against Seattle.
And win.
It would just be something else to tag on to this topsy-turvy win. Like,
Upside
as I say, the reason why I wear this bandana isn't just to keep the hair back out of my face. It's so y'all don't see all the nice shining greys, because this supporting this team ain't easy. But we're here for it all the same. So whether it's good news, bad news, or indifferent, we will be here to give you all as it happens, guys. And we do appreciate you all again. So Des, if the people do want to get to you after the show and have a little chat, sort of offline about all things ATL, how can they do that?
Yeah, so they'll get me on. Obviously, X is the main place, Scottish Falcons. So, so that's where you would get me. I know there's quite a few people actually watching on Scottish Falcon X. So again, appreciated. There's a few wee comments, mate. Just if you want to jump on that here.
It's actually quite a good one. And this is something I think we said back at the start of the show, Des. So time for player evaluations. I can think of 5 players who need to be cut, and I know it's not popular, but Bijan can get as a first and a second round pick, possibly 2 firsts. We singled Bijan out, and I said that obviously if you're going to build your offense around someone, it's not the guy you want to move. But at the same time, we were talking about Pittsburgh and saying that if we don't know how to use them, then somebody else will. And I feel like they're going to pay him accordingly. They can maybe come in with an offer that we wouldn't be comfortable matching, but I would match it for a player of that caliber.
But the way to look at it, Kelvin, is if you get a first and a second round pick, are you going to get players in that first and second round pick that are going to make the difference, like Bijan? And I mean, they would need to be a couple of special players. That's my issue. Bijan is he should be a franchise player. He should only ever play for Atlanta Falcons. Get him long term. Obviously, running backs don't have as long, although Henry's kind of extended that. But running backs don't tend to have as long careers as other players. But yeah, the issue you've got is if we do take on a first and a second round by, I would actually say probably 2 firsts. Yeah, I would agree that Bijan would be 2, maybe 3 firsts. It's whether you're going to get players that are going to make the difference as much as Bijan Robinson. I know Sonia, Miss Sonia, put in a wee thing with as well.
Do you want to cover that one then?
Yeah, a lot of players and coaches have come out and said that Rich McKay and his family don't like coaches that are smart and that they can't control. It looks like that because they're effectively going back to people that they know. You know what I mean? So, for me, it was either Ben Johnson, Jim Harbaugh, or Mike Vrabel. And we went for Raheem Morris, you know what I mean? So there might be something in that, to be honest. Sonia,
I feel like there's definitely something. Like we were talking about it earlier in terms of Raheem and wanting to have his guys that are malleable and that are already on the friend train. And when you differ from that, that's where you start to have problems, as we spoke about with the Ray McLeod, Ike Hilliard situation. But yeah, I can totally see it. It's not a good look for someone like a Mike Vrabel, especially who would want to come in and just be like, no, if this is going to be my team, then it needs to be my team. And that's going to rub a Rich McKay the wrong way. But at some point, as you say, it's been Rich's show for a long time, as you say, 20 years, Sonia. So at this point, where do we start to go? Where do we start to agree that this is self-evident and that the problem, because of the coaching, has been from further up the totem pole, so to speak. But yeah, it's a great point, and definitely something to think about going into the off season as well.
And again, there's another great comment, and I would agree on this. At the moment, it doesn't really matter what we're doing draft wise. We've had probably one of the best draft classes in our history. This season, and we're 4-8. So effectively, good coaches, a good head coach, and a good coaching staff will make average players good players fantastic, and fantastic players exceptional. This coaching staff are making exceptional players good players average, and average players bad. And that's my issue with everything.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's something that you've been saying for a good few weeks, and I know Sonia and Christy have been saying, well, like agreeing with you in not so many words as well. It's the fact that we have all this talent spread around the field, but what it really boils down to is what you're doing with those pieces, and the coaches are just not putting these guys in a position to win. We know what we have. It's just sitting here, the guys in the chat, Des, myself as well on the panel. We know sitting here what we've got. So it boggles my mind after a point as to why the coaching staff can't see these are the guys we've got. These are what they do so well. Top of the league in certain aspects of their games. So play to those strengths, or if they're the ones that are being exposed, then there are adjustments you can make. There are personnel changes, but there's been none of that.
But well, that's why Jeff Ulbricht's been so successful with the defense, because he looks at each player and he knows exactly how he's going to use them, and he uses them the right way.
Yeah.
You then look at Zach Robinson, and you look at effectively how he's used the players that he's got, and it's not acceptable. And then you look at Marquise Williams and what he's doing with the team, the players that he's got. Effectively, a 53-man roster, and there was a lot of players that were put on this roster specifically for special teams, and that's what we see week in, week out, and it's accepted. And then the players are looking that mediocrity is being accepted, and then they think to themselves, what's the point? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if I play well, like Drake London. If I play fantastic, we lose. If I play average, we lose. It doesn't really matter. Why do you think these guys are wanting to put their body on the line when mediocrity is accepted in an organisation? They just effectively phase out. They just zoom out at that point.
Yeah, that's that is a great way to end the night. Des is to drop that, because I mean that was a mic drop moment. You're so used to mediocrity that the words that like Drake is saying coming out to the degree of I just give the roots I'm given, and I wouldn't be surprised at this point. I would not be surprised if the man's half-arsing it, because there's bigger problems than what wide receiver one is doing. As we've seen, he can go out and go for 180 yards and 3 scores and we still lose the game. So he's proven to me, Bijan's proven to me with his 1,000-yard season, even under the duresses that we've been under this season, to still get his grand. It tells you everything you need to know, and Des and I will keep saying it until the appropriate changes are made and we get over this hump, that we're too good to be 4-8.
But again, well, the biggest fear is that effectively if we come on, say we go out on Sunday and we get absolutely scalped by the Seattle Seahawks, and then Monday it comes out that they've let Raheem Morris go, and we're then on a show talking about that. My biggest fear is that the next guy is going to be we're going to fuck that up as well. That's going to be a balls up as well. So the problem I've got is that it's institutional mediocrity. It's people that are making the same mistakes over and over and over again, and not bringing in the coaches that are going to challenge them, not bringing in the coaches that are going to say, like effectively, the big change that happened last year around the Flowery Branch, right? It wasn't a coincidence that the year before the player report, like, effectively all the weight room and all that was a D and an F. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, Arthur Blank gets his checkbook out and it's all getting built. You know what I mean? So effectively, when he is actually challenged, he'll do something about it. Well, bring in a coach, Arthur Blank, that's going to challenge you. Bring in a coach that's going to say, that's not acceptable. This is what I need. I need this, and this. You know what I mean? I'm over the quarterback camera that shows you everything that the quarterback's seen. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Is that our level of technology? Is that all we've got? On the big screen that they can see instant replays, right? Is that it? Right? I guarantee a lot of head coaches would walk in and go, "This is what we've got." No, I need this, and this. Go and get it to me now. Don't care if it's going to cost you a couple of million. I want it here. You know what I mean?
That's it. We just need to know who we've got and invest accordingly. And that's top down again. We need to be spending we said it earlier in terms of Drake London as well. We need to be spending the right money in the right places because we know what we need to do to make this team successful. And hopefully we can be successful this weekend. But that's something that we can always explore for you when Saturday comes. But until then, we want to thank you all again for all your support through all of the last 35 episodes. As I say, to the community, both on YouTube and on X, through Scottish Falcon have been great. So if you do want to obviously join us as part of the panel, you can get us through X, through Facebook. You know where to find us by now. And shout out to anyone new who's in the chat listening in for the first time as well. We would always remind you, as we do when we close a show, that as colourful as the language may get and as heated as Des and I may get sometimes, we do love our ATL, and that's all that this show ever comes from, is a place of love. So before we wish you good night, we'll pass it all the way back to the sun-soaked shores of the Algarve, so that your boy Des can take us home. Because as I say, it's a worldwide show, so whether you're out there on the Algarve, we know football's getting bigger in Spain, so if it can push across, Des, you may be starting a little trend out there for some Portuguese Falcons. So keep on flying the flag, my brother. And while you're talking about flags, I will pull up that closer. But I do see a wee shout out at the end, and if I do recall that would be Mr. Louis. And we'll talk to you a little bit later on in the season, because right now we've got our own business to deal with, brother. But we appreciate you coming in and showing face as always. But Des, until Saturday, I hope you enjoy the rest of the sun. I hope you enjoy the rest of your break. And until then, why don't you do us all a huge favour and take us home, my brother?
Yeah, well, so much so with Atlanta Falcons, but pain is international, but so is passion. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Best. Wherever your evening back. Thanks, guys.